everybody, welcome back. And today I am doing my anti-haul number 2. And I know that the Sephora VIB sale is already going on, or it's about to go on. I don't know. Should be up right around that time. And I know that sometimes we get so drawn into the hype that we forget all of the awesome things that we have already in our collection. So I'm going to be kind of doing a twist. On this anti-haul type video. I am going to be telling you what I'm not going to buy personally, for what reason, and then I'm also going to let you know what you probably already have in your collection, or what I would suggest you spending your money on instead, or maybe even a more affordable option. So let's do this. All right, the first item I want to talk about is the Marc Jacobs Beauty About Last Night Style Icon number 20 eyeshadow palette. This thing is 20 eyeshadows, it's $99, and I've got to say that the packaging on this just looks kind of tacky. It's like fake gold. I don't really get that. I think what I love so much about the Marc Jacobs packaging is that it is sleek and beautiful and just simple. And this gold just kind of first of all, does not appeal to me. Secondly, it is a bunch of colors that you probably already have in your collection. Looking at it, it's some pinks, some purples, and like a gold. Okay, cool. That's fine. It's $99. I just don't get this palette. For me, something, you know, and I think Kimberly Clark touched on this. I'm going to link her videos down below because she's amazing and I love watching her anti-hauls. But she said, you know, I kind of understand the idea of owning something luxury because it's small and petite and special, and I don't want to say it's like precious, but you know, it's special when you use it. And I've got to completely agree with that. I would not suggest spending $100 on this $20 eyeshadow palette that, because it is so bulky, you're not going to travel with it. Because it's limited edition, you're not going to travel with it. You're going to be afraid of using it, and it's going to just hang out in the back of your makeup drawer because you have these shades already in palettes that are more convenient. What I would suggest instead is, if you really want to splurge on an item, which I completely understand, I love doing that. You know, if I'm just feeling good about something, or, you know, I feel like I have earned it, I will go out and splurge on makeup. And what I would suggest is going out and buying one of the Style Icon palettes. I have number 7, the Dreamer, and I love this. I keep this. I'm not one for keeping my palettes in boxes, but because this one is so special to me, I do keep it in a box. I keep it in its packaging, and it's beautiful. It's sleek, it's compact, and it's a shade that I know it's shades that I know I'm gonna love. I love this palette for all times of year. I mean, it's definitely kind of a fall palette. I don't know, I kind of see this as a summer palette because it's so bronzy and beautiful and golden, but I love it, and it's special and it's unique. And I didn't go out and get the Lolita palette, not that it's bad to get that, but everybody has it, and I didn't want to get it because of the hype around it. I wanted to get a palette that I knew I would like with colors that I know I love. So that's why I got the Dreamer. And again, the packaging's beautiful. All of the colors are stunning. This peachy color right here with the gold turn is absolutely one of my favorite eyeshadows in my collection. I absolutely love it. And it's special. So when I use it, it's special, and it has a meaning because it's something that I splurged on for myself. Now, are these pricey? Absolutely. I got mine on sale, so I think I only paid $50 for mine. But because it's special and it's not in this big honking case, it's something that I pull out and use. And because of that, I'm getting more value for my money. Just because a palette is bigger, if you don't use it, you're not getting any value out of it. Pay a little bit less money and get something that you're actually going to use, and that's the value that you're going to get out of it. So instead of buying that big ugly palette, I would definitely suggest looking at these and picking out the one that you think is most beautiful, or two even, you know, depending on what you want in your collection. I really like the Vamp too. It's one of the ones I want to get. But the Dreamer is absolutely one of my favorites, and I love it. And yeah, I think I get much more use out of this than I ever would out of that big ugly gold palette. Let's talk about another palette that fits into that exact same category, and this is the Ambient Lighting Edit Surreal Light palette. This is $80. You get 2 blushes. What do you get? You get a bronzer, blushes, and a convertible highlighter. Okay, I have several problems with this. First of all, it's $80, which, if it was a decent amount of product for each, I wouldn't have that much of a problem with. Second of all, these are all teeny tiny little pans of product, which is going to be difficult to use. Get your brush in. You might as well just take your big old brush and just put it all over your face. Thirdly, these are all limited edition shades. So if you can't even use the justification of, oh, I want to try some ambient lighting products, so I'm going to get this palette and see what I like, and then, you know, I can go and buy the powders or the shades that I like in the full size, because that's not an option. They're all limited edition. Now, I love the ambient lighting powders and I love the blushes. I have the palette for each that looks like this. I use them in my kit. I use them on myself and I use them when I freelance. They're absolutely stunning. This is a pricey product. It's $62. That is not an insubstantial amount of money. However, so yes, this one is $62 and you're only getting 3 shades, but let's talk about the practicality of it. The pans are bigger, it's easier to use. Dim light and radiant light are both in the permanent line, so if you like those, you can go out and buy them in the permanent line in the full size. And incandescent light, I believe, is still exclusive to this palette, but this palette is permanent, so if you like it, you can keep buying it. I mean, it is a beautiful luxury item. It's another one of those items. I'm wearing it today as a finishing powder, and it just makes my skin look beautiful. I love this product. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I would much rather spend $62 and maybe get fewer options, but these are options that I'm going to use, and they're going to be options that when I'm done with them and I've fallen in love with the product, I can go back and repurchase. So instead of buying the Surreal palette, I would definitely just buy the ambient lighting powder palette, or I would just go and swatch all of the palettes and find one that you like and buy a full size one for like 46 bucks. And then you might not be getting a value because you're only getting one shade, but you're getting a shade that you know you're going to use all the time, and that is more value for your money. And I have a drugstore option, so if you don't want to pick up the ambient lighting powder palette because it's just 62 bucks is a lot of money, this I love. This is the e.l.f. Illuminating Palette. It is $6 in the drugstore. You get one more shade than you do in the ambient lighting powder palette, and I love this. This is not quite as finely milled. I mean, there's definitely a difference in the texture, but the finish on the skin is absolutely stunning, and it is extremely close to the effect that I get from the ambient lighting powder palette. I love this. Do you see how dirty mine is? There was a while when I would not put this down. I was using this shade as my highlight. I was using these two. I was mixing this one and this one as a finishing powder, and then I was using this one to bronze, and it's great. It is a great palette for $6. So if you wanted something where you have that beautiful kind of airbrushed finish, but you didn't want to drop the money, check this little baby out because it is so good. So, so good. Love this palette. You helping me, PETA? All right, the next product I want to talk about is from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it is the new Glow Kit Ultimate Glow. This is $45. You get 6 highlighters in here, and you get a range of colors. And I've got the same complaint about this as I did about the other Glow Kits. You're getting a bunch of shades that might not work for your skin, so why waste your money on that whole palette? $45 is a lot of money, especially for a product that you're not going to use. Now, I will say there is one Glow Kit that I'm very interested in, and that's the Moonchild Glow Kit. I think that one's beautiful, but the other ones I'm just like, well, I don't want to drop the money because I'm probably not going to be able to use all of the product. And yes, I could put them in my kit, but I have other options for that. So my alternative to the Glow Kits is this little gem right here. This is from Profusion Cosmetics. This is $8 on their website. I'm going to link all of my options down below. And this is fantastic. I'm wearing it today. I'm wearing pale gold today. And that's the only thing I've got on my cheeks. And it is phenomenal. I love this. I talk about it all the time. I haven't seen anybody else talking about this product, and it's so good. I actually did a high-low video on this, comparing this to the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfectors. I think this product is so good. It's beautiful. It just gives a beautiful sheen to the skin. It's not quite as pigmented as the Shimmering Skin Perfectors, which I did talk about, but when it comes to that beautiful, just healthy glow, it's absolutely stunning. I absolutely love this palette. And no, I don't use Golden Bronze, and I don't use Champagne as much as I use the White Pearl, the Pale Gold, and the Light Pink. So if I don't use 2 of these shades up, I'm not going to feel as bad as if I drop $45 on a palette where I'm not going to use 3 or 4 of the shades. So again, this is definitely just an absolute gem. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. I think this is a fantastic highlighting palette. So good. And Profusion's is cruelty-free, just in case you were wondering. Okay, next let's talk about Tarte. Okay, I have never bought a Tarte Christmas palette, period. They don't appeal to me. I find the colors to be very redundant. And from everything I've heard, when I watch like Tara Babies and Emily Noel, who I entrust implicitly as far as unbiased reviews, the quality is just not up to par. So I feel like not only is the quality not up to par, the shades are boring, the packaging is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like you have to unlock it with a key and then find the combination lock and then like give the guard the password to get into your freaking palette. And that's just stupid. I want a palette that's convenient and sleek and beautiful. And I've got to say, and I love Tarte. I think Tarte is great. I love their Shape Tape. I absolutely love their Gifted mascara. It's one of my all-time favorites. I love their highlighters. I love their bronzers. I mean, I love Tarte, but those palettes just seem absolutely superfluous to me. I mean, and if you've got a couple of Tarte palettes, you've got every shade they've ever come out with in the history of the world, part one. This is the Rainforest After Dark. I love this palette. I think it's gorgeous. It's my go-to travel palette. When I'm just going on a couple days, I throw this in my bag and this is all I use, and I love it. And I love every single look that I get out of it. You get the purples, the browns, the golds. You guys know I love the Tartelette palette. I think this is beautiful. The packaging is stunning, and I love the mattes in here. I mean, they're great. I know some people had a problem with these and don't like the formula, which is okay. But I think you're gonna be so much better off and do yourself so much more of a service by going with something that is permanent in their line, that is beautiful, and that you know has a high quality, where the packaging isn't cumbersome and unnecessary. And I will say, I'm even going to get the Tartelette in Bloom palette. It's on my wish list for Christmas, because I think the shadows are beautiful. And I just think these holiday kits are overblown, subpar products that it's a gimmick. It's like, oh, get all these matching palettes that have sequins on them, or all these matching palettes that have like abstract art on them. And I don't get it. And I've got to say about the Pro palette, again, the Pro palette, it's like they took this palette and blew it up. I mean, because you're getting the same amount of matte shades, so they made the packaging like a third bigger and threw in 4 shimmery shades that are very generic, and maybe like a matte berry. Like, it just seems lazy to me. Like, if you get this palette and the Tartelette in Bloom palette, you have everything that Tarte does well, which is beautiful, neutral shades. So why pick up a bunch of stuff that is just, you know, redundant in the line? And as far as the whole Pro palette goes, I don't know. I have no problem with people getting PR. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I think it is amazing that people can make money off of YouTube. I am not one of those people. Totally fine. I do this for fun. But there's something like subconscious about Tarte flying all these people out to all these places and doing this tripping with Tarte and then releasing palettes, and then they all get rave reviews. Okay, well, that's pretty much, I don't know. And again, maybe it's just a subconscious subliminal thing, but it's kind of like, hey, if you want to go on these lavish, crazy vacations that are beautiful, and I don't begrudge these people going on them at all, but you better give us rave reviews, because we're not going to, you know, you're never going to be at that upper echelon of YouTube guru-ness if you don't, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's just kind of a, it's just like, it's just, I don't know, I get this kind of icky vibe of, hey, we're coming out with another boring palette, and everybody who gets, you know, taken on this trip for free is going to rave about it. Well, of course they are. Of course they are. It's self-preservation. You don't want to damage a relationship with a company, especially if you like it, because Tarte comes out with some amazing things, but not everything they come out with is amazing. And I think the Pro palette and the holiday palettes are just right on top of that list. So just deep thoughts by Heather. Another Tarte product I want to talk about, and I'm not trying to talk shit about Tarte, guys. It was just on my list. And that's because I was almost sucked in by this product. I think it's an amazing deal. I think it is a beautiful product. And that is the Tarte Color Wheel. This is $44. You get 10 products, beautiful array of blushes and 2 highlighters. And everything I've heard about this, I have not swatched this product yet, but everything I've heard about this product is that it is the same formula as the permanent Amazonian clay blush formulation, which is fantastic. Again, you get a beautiful array of colors. The packaging is stunning. It's sleek, it's simple, and I think the value is incredible. So if you pay, what, $18 more, instead of getting 1 blush, you're getting 10. I think that is a phenomenal value. So if you wanted to try Tarte blushes, I would say go ahead and splurge, spend the extra 20 bucks and get the color wheel. Now, if you are a makeup junkie like me, you probably already have one of these palettes. You have the off the cuff palette, you have the Pinup Girl palette, or you have the Bling It On palette. And if you have any of those, or more likely multiple of those, you don't need the Tarte color wheel. You just don't need it. I personally have the Pinup Girl palette. I love it. This is from holiday of 2014. And I think it's beautiful. I use this palette to travel. I get my cool tones, I get my warm tones. I have some shimmeries. I have some shimmery blushes, and I have some matte blushes in here. And I love this palette. I love the formulation. I think it's beautiful. I mean, it's an amazing palette for me. And I know that those holiday palettes are such a great value. But if you already have one of these, you don't need that one because you don't probably use this one as much as you could to justify buying that one. Does that make sense? So I think that is an incredible value. I think it's beautiful. I think it is a steal. I just also think it's something that I don't need. So there you go. So let's move on to Too Faced. So there are a couple of things I want to touch on here. The holiday palettes. Again, when I first started getting into makeup, which around holiday of, or not getting into makeup, but getting into YouTube was around holiday of 2013 is when I started my channel. And I did pick up everything that came out in that collection that year. I came out with the Be Bright, the Be Merry, the Joy to the Girls, and a few of my favorite things. And I think that collection is awesome. I also think the one that came out the year after is awesome with the Everything Nice palette. Now, what I've seen just from swatching in stores and from what I've seen in review videos is that the quality has gone down substantially. There are a bunch of glittery, chunky eyeshadows with usually like a pop of purple and a pop of green, and that's about it, or a pop of blue. And I feel like they're getting redundant and they're doing the same thing over and over again. And I think there was so much hype build up around the Few of My Favorite Things palette and the Everything Nice palette that now they feel like they can just sit back and put out the same crap over and over again and everybody's gonna buy it because we do. So what I would suggest is instead of going out and buying those palettes, which again you don't need, bring out your older ones. Like, these are fantastic, and I know there are people out there that have these palettes. The Be Bright palette, love this palette. This palette is beautiful, and it's got just some absolute gorgeous shades in here. Like this one right here is one of my absolute favorites. Marvelous, like so pretty. Marshmallow is really pretty, and then I love Sequins. Like, yes to that palette. This is one of my favorite Too Faced palettes that I own. The Be Merry was beautiful because you just have this very cool green in here, which is not a green that you see. It's not a green that you see very often, very bright. I think that the Joy to the Girls palette is an amazing palette. I absolutely love this palette. It definitely leans more cool tone, but there's some beautiful shades in here. Prancer's gorgeous. What else do I love? I love Twinkle. Cookie Dough is one of the best matte shadows. I mean, these are just, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous shades that I really love. And I think that these are such good palettes and they hang out in our collection and we don't touch them because, oh, well, we can't make a video on them, or nobody's making a video on them, or whatever, because they're limited edition. Well, they sold out somewhere, so somebody somewhere has to have them. And I think this is just amazing. This is a Few of My Favorite Things palette, and I know there's some people out here that have this palette. This is gorgeous. This is what their holiday palettes should be. You get 20 shades, you get the the blushes and the bronzers in here. It's sleek, it's compact, and you just get some absolute stunning shade. I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, it's just such a pretty, it's so pretty. It's gorgeous. So yeah, so you already have these holiday palettes. You know you guys have them. So if you have them, take them out and love these some more and just pass on these other ones and make them come out with something a little bit more interesting. Or if you don't have any Too Faced at all, and you think, oh, well, I'm gonna get more for my money by getting one of these big palettes, you're really not, because the quality is not there. Go out and buy a chocolate bar palette. If you love your neutrals, if you love, those warm neutrals with pop of color, get the peanut butter palette. That one's amazing. The Totally Cute palette, I freaking hate that name, but there are some gorgeous pops of color in there. Get one of their like standard palettes that is just, is going to be good because everybody has it and everybody loves it. I would highly recommend a chocolate bar palette over one of their new Christmas palettes any day of the week. So, and to further expound upon this whole Too Faced extravaganza, the Nikki Tutorials Power of Makeup palette. Now, I swatched this in stores and I've got to say I was extremely disappointed. I love Nikki Tutorials. I think she's amazing. I think that palette is awful. And not only is awful, it's a ripoff of this palette. I mean, this is, let's just look at the shades together. Let's just look at the shades together. Wham Bam, there's your purple. Mystic Hour, there's your kind of deep greeny blue. Wanted, there's your black. Let's see. Painkiller, mid-tone brown. I mean, it's just not, it's not original. Let's see, Ivy. This could be Ivy. Yeah, I just look at this, I look at this palette and I see, you know, what is it, Irresistible? Like, I mean, it's just not original. It's not an original palette. I don't feel like a lot of thought went into that palette at all. And I could be wrong, and I'm not hating on Nikki at all because I think she is stunning and absolutely congratulate her on all her success. I think it's very well deserved. But that palette just seems to be lazy to me. And it just seems to be this palette with a few less shades wrapped up and repackaged in tacky leopard print. Alright guys, another product I want to talk about is the Naked Ultimate Basics. Now this palette is $54 and you guys know I go hard for Urban Decay. I love Urban Decay. I collect their palettes, but for some reason this one is just not doing it for me. First of all, I don't like the packaging. I wish that if they had come out, since they came out with a 12 pan eyeshadow palette, that would have been more cohesive to put it in the same, you know, Naked packaging as the Naked 1, 2, 3 and Smoky. I don't know, it's just the visual person in me that it just would make me, I don't know, I guess it would just appeal more to me. I know that sounds stupid, but I know the Naked Basics are such a good product, and they are, but I think the appeal of the Naked Basics is that they're a little bit simpler and a little bit less expensive. In fact, the Naked Basics was the first high-end eyeshadow palette I ever purchased, and I love it. I still use it to this day. I think it's stunning. But when I saw that palette, I was like, the first thing that popped out to me, I was like, oh, it's like a mix of cool and warm with kind of a brighter orangey shade. And I was like, okay, well, there are several palettes in my collection that are probably sitting around in yours that are great alternatives. And the first one I want to talk about is the Stila in the No palette. This is a completely all matte palette. I know this palette is discontinued, but I know some of you have it out there. And it's, again, it is warm, cool, and then you get this orangey color. And I'm telling you, that orange is kind of what caught my eye in the Naked Basics, the Ultimate Basics. So, I mean, you've got this one right here. I think this is a great palette. It's one of my favorites, and I know a lot of people have it in their collection still. Or if it's something you missed out on, there's some very, very similar things in the drugstore that are under $10. The first one is e.l.f.'s Mad for Matte palette. Again, this is an all matte palette. It's great. It's $10, and you get some warmer shades, you get some cooler shades, and then you get some of these kind of more orangey tones in here. These aren't quite as orangey, but you know, they work. They kind of are going to give you that same vibe. I love this palette. I think it's a great little palette, and again, sleek packaging, $10. And then you have this one, which I don't hear a lot of people talk about at all. This is the Top 10 Trendsetter Eyeshadow Collection in Birthday Suit from Hard Candy. This is gorgeous. You get, again, this one is more cool toned overall, but you get some warms, some cools, and then again, a more orangey kind of shade. And I think this is just, I think this is a great little palette that nobody talks about, and it's like $6 or $8. So those are my suggestions as far as the Naked Basics palette goes. All right, guys, so I've got one more product to talk about, and I'm feeling a certain kind of way about this product and this makeup company in general. So if you don't want to hear anything negative, I completely understand and respect your opinion, and I will see you next time. But we're going to go ahead and move on. The last product I want to talk about is this. This is the biggest bullshit product I have ever seen in my entire life. And I'm going to go on a tangent here, and I'm going to just talk about Jeffree Star as a company. So again, I'm speaking about Jeffree Star's actions and practices as a business owner and a company. I'm not talking about his personal looks, life choices, decisions, anything like that. Just his absolute appalling lack of propriety and respect when it comes to other bloggers, his customers and just anybody who is not him in general. So if you have anything negative to say, because I have an opinion that differs from yours in regards to Jeffree Star, and you feel the need to leave a hateful comment down below, that's perfectly fine. That speaks to your character, not mine, and really it's not gonna hurt my feelings anyway. So Jeffree Star as a company, I've got to say, I bought the Beauty Killer palette. It was not the best palette I've ever worked with. I gave it a very fair review for those of you who did see it. I did say that I personally enjoyed it and was inspired by it, but when it came to just, it's not the most buttery, easy palette to work with. I was very honest about that. I did do a Fresh Fierce Fabulous tutorial with it and decided to take those both down because I did not want to support his brand anymore, because the way he talks to people, just, it just is disgusting. And the fact that as a company owner, if somebody were to criticize you, not you personally, but your product, you are going to call them a cesspool of a human being and tell them they have no business in makeup. I'm paraphrasing. And to go concentrate on being a mother, and that they're a bully, that the idiocy of that just absolutely hurts my face. And the irony of that. So you're going to personally attack somebody who had a critique of your product, not you, your product, and you're going to viciously attack them through social media and then step back and call them a bully. Personally, I just think you need to chill the fuck out, take a step back, and maybe open up a dictionary, because that's pretty ballsy to say that to somebody and then call them a bully. I'm sorry. I come from a performance background. I have been told to my face that I'm never going to make it, that I'm terrible, that this and that. I mean, and that's just part of putting yourself out there as an artist. If you're going to put yourself out there in the business world as an artist, on social media, you need to put your grown-up panties on and deal with the fact that people are going to have opinions about what you do. That's just life. And not all of them are going to be nice and warm and hugs and butterflies. And again, that's just life. And if you can't deal with that, then maybe you should step out of the business world, out of social media, until you can mature enough as a human being to not viciously attack somebody who doesn't agree with everything you do. So those are just my thoughts in that realm of Jeffree Star as a company. Because you know what, if people like Laura Mercier or Josie Marin, or you know, if the company like Becca came out and absolutely just viciously attacked their customers like that, people would be losing their shit. But for some reason when Jeffree does it, it's okay, because I have no idea why. I don't know. I don't know. I think it just shows a complete lack of security in oneself and one's business practices and in one's product if you have to lash out that viciously. And the whole cult of personality around people in YouTube, I think, is ridiculous. If you have to be so defensive about somebody you've never met on YouTube that you have to go and attack somebody viciously when they don't agree with somebody's product and how it performs and what, I mean, again, that speaks to your character and not the person you're attacking. So just maybe take a step back and realize you need to grow up a little bit. So that's my tangent on that. Let's get into this stupid product. So this is a black sparkly highlighter. It's not a black with a sheen. It is a black highlighter. It's a black eyeshadow with sparkles in it. This is the most asinine product I've ever seen, because it is the complete antithesis of what highlighting is. Highlighting is supposed to bring light to your face, which you can't do with a black highlighter. So if you want to look like you rolled around in the dirt and then threw some glitter on your face, I mean, have at it. I'm not going to judge you for that. But I mean, that's pretty much the look that comes out of it. And I've got to say, I did search Onyx Ice on YouTube and could find barely any videos on it. I did find this one girl, and bless her heart, she was trying to be positive. You could tell she was a fan of Jeffree Star, so I'm not going to link her channel down below because I just think I don't want to rain on her parade. But she was packing the shadow on, blending it out, packing it on, blending it out, packing. I mean, it took her like 10 minutes to put this one eyeshadow on. And that just, I mean, I'm sorry, that just speaks to the product itself. So don't sit there and tell me, oh, it's a highlighter that can also be used as an eyeshadow, but then it's just a crappy eyeshadow. I mean, it just makes no sense. And then she wasn't much deeper than I am as far as skin tone, and she put it on her face and she was trying to make it work. Like I said, she was being so sweet about it. And it just looked dirty. Her face looked dirty. It just wasn't attractive. And you can't even tell me, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You have a deeper skin tone and you would use this as a highlighter, but it seems like a cool toned black shadow with glitter in it would just make you look ashy, even if you have a very deep skin tone. There's just nothing appealing about this product to me, and I just think I think it's just lazy. It's like, oh, I'm coming out with something that nobody's ever come out with. There's a reason why nobody's ever come out with it. It's because it's stupid. I'm sorry, but it is. So I've got an alternative for you. Instead of spending $29 on an oversized, crappy black eyeshadow with glitter in it, you can spend $1 on an appropriate sized, crappy black eyeshadow with glitter in it. This is the eyeshadow single from Wet n Wild in Trashed. It's black and it's got glitter on it. Glitter in it. There you go. I just saved you 28 bucks. Or I've got a better idea. Hold on. Instead of spending $29 on a black highlighter, you use any other highlighter you have in your collection ever. Because any one you choose is going to be more effective than that product. And that's all I've got to say about that. So yeah, I mean, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And the level of douchebaggery that comes along with anything that man touches is just mind-blowing. So I thought I would give it a special place in this video. All right, everybody, so that was my anti-haul number 2. I'm sorry for the rant at the end, but I just felt like I had to get that out just because stupidity it hurts my face. It's offensive to me, and I feel like that kind of behavior just epitomizes that. So not everybody's gonna feel the same way, and again, that's completely okay. If you love black onyx or onyx ice, let me know, because I would love to know everybody else's opinions, because everybody has different opinions on everything. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like the format where I tell you what I'm not gonna buy and things that you might already have in your collection, or the more affordable options. If you like this format, this is how we can do them from now on. I'm more than happy to do that. I'm gonna link some of my favorite people down below for anti-hauls. Kimberly, Clark, Eyes on Allison. I love those girls. I love watching their anti-hauls. I think they're so much fun and they're just awesome. So definitely go check them out. But as always, guys, thank you so much for hanging out, talking about makeup with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, have a rockin' week, and I'll see you later. Bye.